We're recording here, so, all right. All right, we are going to call this Economic Development Committee meeting to order. First is courtesy of the floor. Is there anybody that wishes to speak to the committee at this point? Seeing none, we are going to move along with the agenda. We have a presentation from the Easton Public Library, and we have their executive director, Jennifer Long, with us. And if you feel free to come up to the podium if you would like there, speak into the microphone, and tell us a little bit about what's going on at the Easton Public Library. About a month ago or so, we had the Memorial Library of Nazareth come and give a presentation as well. And as chair of this committee, what I've been hoping to do is highlight various libraries within Northampton County, because libraries just are not books anymore. They're not books on shelves anymore. There's a lot of programming and a lot of great things that our libraries are doing, and we want to get that message out to the public. So with that being said, Mrs. Long, thank you for being here.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation. I did mention, even though how close the library is physically to the courthouse here, it felt like it took too long to get here with all of the construction.
Yep.
I thought I gave myself plenty of time in 15, 20 minutes, and obviously I did not. So I'm a little like, whew, okay.
We're good.
Yes.
We're good.
Yes.
We're good. You can breathe.
Yes, no. And, well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jennifer Long, and it is my honor to be here with you today. Thank you to Councilman Jeff Warren for inviting me to speak to you about the Easton Area Public Library at your meeting. I certainly respect your time and how busy you are. And as a resident of Northampton County, I also want to take a moment to thank you for your service and your dedication to your position in making decisions for our entire county. I do understand that this is not an easy job, but it is an important job, and I do respect that and thank you for your time and certainly your staff and everything that you do. So first, a little bit about me. I am a graduate of Easton Area High School. I'm also a graduate of Kutztown University with my bachelor's in public administration, and then I went right back for my master's degree in library science. I've worked at the Easton Area Public Library for 36 years, and I've had the privilege of serving as the library director for 20 years. So I've certainly have just fallen in love with the library service, and of course being an Easton girl and seeing how much the Easton community means to me.
Seen the ropes.
I've seen, yes, certainly. What is important to, what I wanted to talk about and really keep in mind here is, what is important to understand is that in Pennsylvania, library service is not state mandated. That means, unlike our neighbors in New Jersey or in Ohio, there is no state law that clearly dictates how public libraries are funded in our state. Some public libraries are funded through local municipalities. Some are funded actually through county government. There are 32 in the state. But some, like us at Easton, are funded through school districts. Hello, how are you? The Easton Area Public Library was founded in 1811. That makes us the oldest public library in the Lehigh Valley. We were founded 1811 by shareholders who paid an annual fee, and the library was located on 2nd Street in downtown Easton. By its 50th anniversary, many of the original shareholders had either moved or died, and with the Civil War impacting the fortunes of the library, the directors at that time turned to their neighbor, the Easton Area School District. Think about 2nd Street back then as the potential partner. The school district had recently built a high school across from the library and could see the advantage of having the library available to their students. So by the late 1890s, the library was averaging 50 patrons a day and loaning out 300 to 400 books a week, which goes to show even then the importance and the value of reading, education, that hunger for knowledge and learning. That's something in the fabric of all of us. And I think no matter where we are in our lives, that's something I think that makes us uniquely human and be a part of us. The need for a bigger library was evident. At that time, Andrew Carnegie had been funding the building of libraries, and his idea was simple: levy a millage tax to establish and maintain a free library, and approach Carnegie for a library building. And by 1901, at the school board meeting, the local citizens made their presentation, and the school board approved a 1/2 mil tax that would support and maintain the proposed library. The First Reformed Church sold its cemetery on Church Street between 5th and 6th Streets to the Easton School District, with the provision that the land be used in perpetuity for a library and a park. Yes, the current library that we know there on 6th Street, 6th and Church, is built on a former cemetery. What was done is, when it was being excavated, those that were laid to rest there were moved to the 7th Street Cemetery. One thing that we have, which is unique, is we have a lot of photographs that show that cemetery was overgrown and no longer used at that time. That is why the First Reformed Church was very open to selling that land or giving that land to the school district for a library. And again, think back to 1890, which I don't think any of us were here at that time, respectfully, but that was that would have been really country from downtown. So that would have been the farthest part out of Easton. So for over 130 years, we have been connected to the Easton Area School District. But back in 2016, to clarify our relationship with the school district even more, the school district and the library sat down and worked out a resolution in which the school district, the school board, enacted a special library tax. And that is where we are today. Through the Pennsylvania Library Code, they have a separate line item in our tax bill for a public library tax, and that is how we are funded through the collection of taxes. Let me back up for a minute. Public libraries cannot collect our own taxes in the state of Pennsylvania, so we need to look to another organization, and the school district has agreed to do that for us. They collect the taxes and pass them through to us. It is, in my opinion, and I do think this Easton Area School District would agree, it is a win-win for both of us. We serve the footprint of the Easton Area School District. And for those of you that are familiar with the Easton Area School District's footprint, that is the city of Easton, Forks Township, Palmer Township, and parts of Lower Mount Bethel, which then just saves me, instead of having to make 4 presentations, I make just one. So that is about 70,000 residents that we do serve, in which about 20,000 residents have library cards. So we have a pretty good, good stable there. However, speaking to not just then our Easton library card, but the state of Pennsylvania does have a program called Access Pennsylvania. So once you do have your library card from your home library, you can use that library card with the blue Access Pennsylvania sticker at any state-aided public library. So if you do have a library card from us at Easton, you can use that library card at Bethlehem or Nazareth or Mary Muser. That is something that the state does support and encourage. Within the state of Pennsylvania, though, because we have been looked upon as a leader, we were chosen to be a district center in 1968. Part of that is because we are the county seat of Easton is the county seat in Northampton. There are only 29 district centers. And at that time, if you think back to 1968, we would have been a larger library that provided that educational and liaison guidance to smaller libraries. So our district, and I don't want to think of that word as school district, this is just district, think of region. We are the district center or region center for libraries all in Monroe County and to eastern Northampton County being Bangor and Mary Muser. The other side of Northampton County is shared with the Bethlehem district, because in 1968, as any time things can be political, and Bethlehem is a larger city in Northampton County, but it also splits into Lehigh County. So at that time, that was the way the legislators decided to split up the district centers in this area, in the Lehigh Valley area. But today, so talking about the library today, today the Eastern Area Public Library's annual budget is $2.5 million. We have a staff of 50 employees. We operate the main library right over here, still on that piece of property on 6th and Church Street. And we do have a branch in Palmer Township as well. That is located in the Palmer Municipal Complex. We have a great relationship with the Palmer Township Municipal Building. It's in a great location there. They own that building, but of course we operate that building as a library. Since 2014, we have directly shared items with the Allentown and Bethlehem Public Libraries as part of the Lehigh Valley Library System. Through a grant through the Lehigh Valley Community Foundation, we purchased a van and shared items seamlessly between libraries. We wanted to do this. We were sharing the same catalog, and it seemed really silly to have to fill out paperwork or to tell a patron, you want the next book in a series, but you have to drive over to Allentown or Bethlehem. So instead, we just decided to write the Community Foundation for a van, hire a driver, and now we have this item move back and forth. And we had started this in 2014. And it was really a win-win for all of us. Because we shared the same computer system. This is a system that is highly supported throughout the state. It is funded through federal IMLS grants, which help really bring down the cost of this computer system. Many libraries throughout the state use this. So saying that, last year, realizing that almost all of the libraries in the Lehigh Valley use that same system, I had talked to some of the other leaders of the libraries in the Lehigh Valley, and I said, why don't we share amongst all of us? And again, instead of doing paperwork, why don't we just share with all of these items? We're going to save money on postage and shipping. We already have literally the vehicle in place. So in April 2024, we began to direct resource share with 25 other libraries in the Lehigh Valley, which means library patrons have direct access to over 1.4 million items that they have with over 20 of all those libraries. Many of these items are delivered to your home library in 2 days. And when I say those libraries, I mean libraries in Northampton County, Monroe County, Lehigh County, Carbon County. All of us working together. When I say this, there's no benefits for me doing this. This is just being in that spirit of sharing for the patron. Because when I think about a patron looking for that next book in the series, or a student needing to work on a book report or a research paper, it's just providing that access. That's really what it's about. And certainly to have all those people in the room and everyone to agree that this is what it's about and this is what we're going to do. And yes, let's do this. And you see these libraries, and we have crates and papers and everything, all these directional notes. This is what we do. And
it seems like it's a very proactive, regional-based model.
We are the largest regional sharing in the state.
Yeah.
It's excellent. It really is. Thank you. It's great. And like anything, though, there are some people's slips that the names are really big, some are a little small. Like when we had our first meeting to celebrate our year, and people said, can you make your slips a little bit bigger? And I think, oh, yeah, okay, sure, we'll all work together. But when you think about that partnership in 1 year, all of us, we shared over 255,000 items. That, I mean, not Easton. I mean, all the group shared 255,000 items.
You talk about what those items actually are, aside from books. Are you getting to that?
But no,
Oh, okay.
yeah, books and DVDs and yeah, I mean, items. Digital content is. Well, I'll get to that. This is items.
Okay.
I mean, the most popular children's item, and for those of you that if you have children or don't have children in your life. One of the new Dog Man books. I'm trying to remember one of the new Dog Man books, which you might think, oh, a dog man.
My daughters love those books.
But think about that, like just a Dog Man graphic novel book, like really that got circulated, 600 and some times. But again, it's about a child reading, and because we're just opening that up and sharing that. Like that. So somebody at Easton who's been waiting for that book might be checking out the copy from Parkland. It's still being checked out, and that's what it's about. It's not even that it's when you think about that I mean, it just as a librarian, it's about providing that access, and for those of you that the fiction most popular fiction book was The Women, which if anybody knows anything about book clubs and such, I mean, you couldn't pick up a copy of that book. We still have a hold list for The Women by Kristen Hanna. Again, a very popular book club book, a very popular book. It was on all the social media and all the TikToks and such. But that book was circulated the most, and it was just because of providing access and sharing. And instead of it just being siloed, staying only at Easton, it's, well, why not? Just keep sharing it. So that's where that spirit of sharing and that spirit of working together, I'm really proud of, and I'm really proud to work with so many other librarians who share and understand that in our community. And there's a few libraries who are not on this same computer system, and they're looking into it. So I'm hopeful in the next year we will have everyone, and that would really be awesome, because I think they're from the outside looking in, they can see like, wow, you guys really are making a difference. So that moving on and back to. Moving it back down to the Easton Library, in 2022, we became a fine-free library. Fine-free libraries are libraries that do not collect money for materials that are returned after the due date. Many libraries choose to become fine-free to make services and resources more accessible to everyone in the community. And under this model, users are still required to pay for or replace lost or damaged items. Truthfully, fine collection had reduced significantly in the past few years, especially since we implemented email reminders to patrons about when their items were due. And most library users are responsible library users. Most people are the ones that are checking items out. They don't really want to keep this stuff. They're going to return it because they want to get the next stuff, the next things checked out. And when we really looked at our budget closely, fine collection made up less than 1% of our budget. We were spending so much time chasing people down for 20 cents, 40 cents. And I understand we are a nonprofit. I understand fine. We ask for annual appeal money. Every penny does count, but is there a different way? Is there something else we can be better providing access in the community? But that being said, it doesn't mean that we're softies, because the library board, we had quite a long discussion about this, and we talked about that okay, if you have an item out overdue, you have an item out overdue, we're not going to charge you a fine, but if we're going to give you 2 weeks to get that item back, if that comes to 2 weeks, then you are charged the full price of that item. Then at 2 weeks, it's, okay, now you're abusing this privilege. 2 weeks, you are charged for the item, all privileges are done. So you can't check out all the digital content, you can't come in and use anything else, you're done, your privileges are stopped. So that is, and that does happen, that 2 weeks goes, 2 weeks is like that. Here we are, May 1st already. It was 2 weeks ago, I think, was when you asked me about coming to speak. So 2 weeks, and then, oh, wait, I was waiting for a book online, and now I can't get it. And oh, I guess I just need to return those books that have been sitting in the corner, and don't pay a fine, because, and even if we did charge you for the cost of it, once you return that, everything's all good again, and we start fresh. So even though I know there are times, and there are many libraries that have also adopted that fine-free policy, so even though I know there can be some controversy or some concern that, well, don't you need money? How do you operate? There is a little bit more behind it, a little bit more philosophy that we want to be able to provide access. And really, yes, a lot of 20 cents can add up to $1, can add up to $5, but let's maybe try to educate and try to work a little bit more on providing access and working with people. You know, even if I told you, I've been at the library so many years, if I've told you about how many times when there would be snow or such, if someone called and said, oh, I was scared to drive in the snow, do I still owe the 20 cents? You know, we were waiving fines. It really is a better position for our library to be. Not all libraries can be in that position, and I certainly understand that, but for ours, I'm proud that our library board can move forward with that decision. So for adults at our library, not only do we continue to circulate all the traditional materials that I've talked about, like books and DVDs and music, CDs and such, but we do have e-materials, e-books, e-audiobooks, e-magazines, anything available online. We do have access to educational databases that patrons can use through using their library card, and probably one of the most important databases that we have. And I talk about this with whether I'm asked to speak at the Rotary, the Kiwanis, the school board. I talk about this. We have access to the Express Times online, the Morning Call online, and where we are with newspapers today, of whether or not they're in print or available. It's too bad that it's a different time, and we can see some things through online if you just go to their website. But if there is an article that you want to read, and subscriber only, and if you don't subscribe, and I don't subscribe to that. If you go to your library, and not just our library, even if you don't live in the Easton area, chances are your library probably has access, or if not, talk to me, I can help you. We do provide that access, that if you have your library card, we have a database that will open up. Some of those newspapers actually have articles going, even dating back, not even recent, but might go back to 1988 or even further. We have, so you can actually read those articles that you might get stopped on. And I know myself, even when I'm just scrolling on my phone and I want to read something and I get blocked, and then just go on to the library's website, and then it opens right up and reads it, because it's still important to read and keep up on local news and what's going on, whether it's from a curiosity standpoint or something you do need to know and educate yourself about. We also have hotspots which will connect to the internet. We recognize that the ability to access the internet is so important to so many people in our community, and not everyone has the access to reliable high-speed internet. We check out hotspots to patrons for a week. We have those for anyone who has a library card. A lot of times people will use that for their internet connection, whether it be at home or whether they're taking it on vacation or on a road trip. Right now we have 90 of them. They're always checked out, but if they're not returned, those we do have the ability to deactivate the service. So they do come back pretty quickly. And if we do have a hold list for them, that does move along pretty well because it's only a week out.
The hotspots, Jennifer, seem to be, Holly from the Nazareth Memorial Library was also talking about how they have the hotspots as well, and they're always checked out too. It seems to be that next step within the library system where individuals in our community are needing that.
Yes.
So it just seems, again, it seems to go beyond just books and in terms of what libraries can provide in our communities and what they do provide. So it seems like that's really the next step, that internet access and connectivity with folks.
Yes, yes, it is. We have 42 public computers throughout the library, and people are using the computers all the time, just coming in, using the computers for whatever. Of course, our computers are filtered. We don't monitor what you're doing. We have a filtering service, but they're always used. We were a site that provided AARP tax assistance. They were filled all the time, people looking for resources, for assistance in helping for tax. Photocopies. Our photocopier from the month of April, that poor photocopier saw more use than I've ever seen it used before. But at 20 cents a page, it's probably one of the more economical. And photocopies, I can't say that I personally need photocopies, but when you do, it's right there. It was used a lot. So yes, mobile hotspots, things like that sometimes you don't think about. Where do I go? Even printers. We have people come in so much and say, we got rid of our home printer because it was just the cartridge and it just took up space, but they'll come in with a thumb drive and just print out something that they need, or airline tickets or what have you, because we have that access right there for them. For children, our story time programs are always still the most popular. It doesn't matter whether this is 50 years ago or today. Story times are still. Our collection of pictures of story times over the years, they're always so popular.
I used to go when I was in the 80s. When
Yeah,
I was a kid. I used to go to
there's
the
just
Easton
something
Library.
nostalgic about it. It's just something that's great. I'm so appreciative that that's something that I think parents just say, like, this is what we do, and to see so many families bringing in their children to story time, we always seems like we have to add another stories time session. Certainly, if you're not familiar, we do have a parking lot, but a lot of times that parking lot is at maximum capacity when it comes to story times, not just here at our main library, but at our Palmer branch as well. And we are getting ready for the summer reading program, which is, again, one of our most popular programs every summer. This theme is Color Our World, which lends itself to just being able to have so many different types of programs and so many other activities around that theme. And as you can see, I gave you a bunch of handouts of just so many different programs. We're always having so many different programs. Right now, we have our book sale going on, which I just left as it was opening, and there was a line out the door. Our programs, we just try to have everything for people to connect. Our program attendance has increased over 50% from last year. And I think it just speaks to people wanting to connect again. We've all been through so much in the last 5 years, and I think it's just a way for people to get out and connect and just come in, whether it's quilting or a seed exchange coming up, or learning about poetry, or whatever it is. It's just it's important to me that the library is that place in the community. It's a trusted place that everyone is welcome. Everybody can come and just be a part of your community. And I finally, I hope I'm not talking too long. Finally, I just wanted to share one other thing about our library. And certainly, I know I've talked a lot about our library, but something that I think that makes the Easton Library even just so incredibly special. When we have always had a focus on local history at the Easton Library. Many libraries collect local history. Many libraries, and I've seen their collection, and of course they have books and materials. But I will stand here before you and say, if you've not been to our library's Mark's Room of Local History, this is your personal invitation. Please contact me and please come see our local history room. We have a collection that is just such an important local history resource. And again, it's not just Easton, but it is Easton and the surrounding areas. So of course it does incorporate Palmer, Forks, Nazareth, Bethlehem, Northampton County, when Northampton County was Northampton County, Lehigh County. It just has everything in this room that maps, diagrams, church records, cemetery records, so much. We have people come from all over the world to research their genealogy or research any type of information. Very, very similar, and we work in partnership with the Siegel Museum. We have a lot of similar items, but we have a lot of different items as well in our Mark's Room. And I did hand out some information there about the Mark's Room and some of the databases you can see on there. And the one item that is in that room, the Easton flag, which I'm sure you have seen the Easton flag flying here. If you've not seen the Easton flag in person, of course, next year with America 250, the Easton flag is certainly, it was given to the library in 1821 for safekeeping, and it has been in our possession since, and it is in the Mark's Room. It is under climate control. It is something to see, something to just, when we give the tours to the fourth graders and we have a picture of what Easton looked like in 1776, and I bring them on my time machine back to that time and say, think about what was going on in the country, and think about, Easton was going to be a place, the Declaration was going to be read, and this flag flying there. And, fourth graders being fourth graders, but you do see a few of them understand, and I say, how many stars are there? And then they realize 13. Well, why would there be 13 stars? And then they realize there's only 13 colonies. And it's just, I'm not a teacher. I am not a teacher by trade, but you see the teachers stand there and think, wow, yeah, they're getting it, they're listening. And this is such an important part of our, not just Easton, but our history here in this area that we should be proud of, and that our country's history. And we've actually have had people ask, like, well, can the Easton flag be moved to Philadelphia for America 250? And the library board and I have said, no, it's too fragile, and it belongs here in Easton. And we are happy to, if you want to come see it, please do, but it's it belongs here. It was given to the library, and that's where it will stay. So there's a paper about the flag, and I hope you will take me up on coming to see that and the library itself. So I'm sorry if I've talked too long, but when you invited me, I thought, oh, I don't know if Jeff knows what he's getting into here. I certainly thank you for your time and your attention. If there's anything I can do to provide you with additional information, if there's anything else you'd like to hear more about, I'm happy to do so. Again, thank you for your role within our county. You are appreciated, you are respected, and I certainly do want to make sure you understand that. And I'll let.
I thank you for coming to give us this presentation. I really do, Ms. Long, because you are an institution in and of yourself within this Easton community over 3 decades of working at the library, overseeing it, watching it grow, but ultimately understanding how libraries affect our communities and the interconnectivity between libraries, and from a community development standpoint, even from an economic development standpoint, when you're bringing people together, like you said, how that really does make a difference. And I'm just very appreciative that you took the time to come here to give our little economic development committee a presentation on this. So I plan, just to let the committee know, I do plan on reaching out to other libraries throughout Northampton County to talk about what they're doing too, talk about that interconnectivity, because it's important that folks know about this. Libraries are taking a new step within our communities in general, and I think it's important that folks know about them, the services they provide, and how it can enrich their lives in various ways. So something I plan on doing in the future as chair of this committee. And does anybody have any questions for Ms. Long before we let her head out of here and before we adjourn?
No, thank you so much. This is great information.
Thank you.
Mr. Gaffredo, yeah.
I'd just like to compliment you. Very impressive and thorough presentation, but it's just nice to see people that take, their passion, their job. It's a vocation. It seems like you've really taken to your passion, and it shows in everything you do. I've never been to the Easton Library. I will most certainly be making a visit.
Please.
I appreciate the invite.
Oh, thank you. Yes,
Very
thank
nice
you.
presentation. It's one of the perks of this job, getting to see people come in and meet people and hear what they have to say. And it was a very, very informative and enjoyable presentation. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Gaffredo, good word to use, passion. That she has a passion for her library, the library system in general. It's a good
I have
word.
some weird passion, so I like when I see people, because listen, I'm not a librarian connoisseur. I don't go out and check it out, but you made me kind of interested in your passion. So I think that's how you identify it, and that's it's good to see a librarian who still has that, because you look at the kids that have iPhones and iPads in their hands all the time. Nobody wants to touch a book. It's people like you that are going to be able to keep that around.
Thank you. Thank you.
The building that the library is in is historical.
Oh,
correct?
yes, it was built 1901. Yes, it's a Carnegie building. Yep, built 1901 it was built. $50,000 was given to, a little aside, $50,000 was given to Easton in 1901 to build the first part of the Carnegie building. The library was so popular, by 1910, we were out of space. So the community wrote to Carnegie and said, could we have some more money? And we have a letter from Carnegie, and Carnegie said, I'm a little disappointed in how you spent your first money, City of Easton. But I'll give you another $10,000 to build on. So if you look at our building, and to the architect eye, you can see where the first Carnegie building and then the second part is built on. And it's hard to see because it's 1901, 1910. It's same-ish, but so we did add on 1910 to a second edition, which, yay, we had more space. Then by 1945, added additional space. That was through steel. And then 1968 is the main addition, which if you know the library, that's where the public space is now. We do have photographs. Again, I'm so thankful to my predecessors for collecting and keeping all of our history. We have so many photographs, so many documents, so much in that local history room. Even if you're not from Easton originally and you don't have any family genealogy or research, you can come in that room and just dive in and look up maps and pictures, phone books. I mean, we have a collection, phone books, city directories. Exactly. Well, we have
Those yellow pages out.
well, we have pictures of Easton High School class picnic from May of 1924, and when the kids come in and they say, well, why do you have that picture? Who's in that picture? And I say, doesn't matter. But look at that picture. And it's a large class. Every boy in 1924 was wearing a suit for a class picnic. Every girl was wearing a hat. And then I say, look around the room. And of course, they're here. And I say, we're wearing like just jeans and sweatpants or sneakers or hoodies. Can you imagine if they took our picture today and looked at it 100 years from now? And again, like maybe, I hope fourth graders maybe get this, maybe not. But that's where like we can see what life was like, even just the landscape of Easton. I mean, they're walking up from the Siegel Museum to come to the library, and how much construction are they seeing? A lot. But we could see pictures of Easton, and they might not remember everything, but I say, look, we can see how Easton has changed. Remember when there was a building there? They remember when there was a building there, and now it's not. So that's what we have within this local history room. I'm sorry, because you're gonna have to put the hook on me.
Why did Andrew Carnegie have ties to Easton?
He didn't. He was Andrew Carnegie was a
U.S. Pittsburgh Steel man.
Pittsburgh Steel. He just believed in libraries and giving money. He wanted to give money to communities to build libraries.
Impressive, because Bethlehem's competition. It was just impressive that he was supporting the Lehigh Valley in that way.
Yeah, I mean, if you look up his biography, Mr. Carnegie has also, he wasn't always as nice as that. I mean,
He's a robber baron.
There's other things about Mr. Carnegie that maybe wasn't always favorable. But as far as if you could meet that requirement that you had a taxing municipality, you couldn't just say, build us a library. You had to show that somebody was going to be your who was going to keep the money going, and the school district said they would. But that's what he did. So we are the only Carnegie library in the Lehigh Valley. But we're also the oldest at 1811. So, but yeah, so that's why he did. And his only, he did ask that a portrait be, a portrait hangs of him. It hangs on the second floor because that's more of where the Carnegie building is. So, yes.
Well, thank you again,
Thank
Mrs.
you.
Long.
Thank you so
Very
much.
much appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Moving along, there's nothing else on the agenda. Does anyone from the committee have anything else that they would want to dive into at this point? I had something I wanted to mention because I recently attended the North Penn Legal Services 2025 Fair Housing Summit, and we were talking a lot about manufactured homes, and I know that this council has brought up, and specifically I brought up last year, the manufactured homes resolution, which we did pass to put cap lot fees, and there's some initiatives going on in Harrisburg to continue that momentum. And I was also recently, aside from being at the Fair Housing Summit, I was recently on a podcast with a friend of mine talking about housing issues. There was somebody from the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission on there, as well as an individual from the Greater Lehigh Valley Realtors. And it really just got me, I would say, fired up to the point where I said to myself, I think this council really needs to begin embarking on gauging the housing crisis that we have, because it's not only a crisis throughout the country, it's not only a crisis throughout the Commonwealth, but I mean, right here in Northampton County, when you have, as of March of this year, the median home value in the county reached approximately $342,600, and that was a 4.5% increase over the past year. In terms of the competitive market rate when it comes to housing, we know that homes are selling so rapidly. We're talking with an average property going under contract in about 12 days after it was put on the market. We're talking high demand for housing in our area, and that's just like single-family homes. When we look at rent, and I'm sure a lot of us either know someone, we've heard stories about rent increasing constantly throughout our community, Northampton County's renter eviction rate actually ranks 8th in the Commonwealth. I don't know about all of you, but I got a major problem with that. I really do. If you take a look at what other counties across the United States have been doing, I've been doing some research as well. Take, for example, Montgomery County, Maryland. They've actually implemented a comprehensive rent stabilization policy and plan of action. They did this last year to address affordability and to prevent excessive rental increases. So I'm hoping our committee here at some point down the road and in the foreseeable future can talk about whether we're supporting tax credits for folks who want to take blighted buildings and turn them into apartments or any other type of housing opportunities and repurposing. There's no silver bullets for this issue at all, because if there were, we would certainly have the answers in terms of affordable housing. And I'm not talking Section 8 housing, I'm talking affordable housing for working folks. And look, I know the administration has been working on various initiatives as well, whether it's the $20,000 in CDBG funds for Evergreen Village, I think, and there's the $500,000 application to create a home improvement program here in the county as well. So I know that from the administration standpoint, they've been working on this, but I think this council in general needs to start gauging the housing issue right here in our backyards. And whether we're working with the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission or whether we're working with the Greater Lehigh Valley Realtors to better understand what we can do on this council for our citizenry, I think it's something we need to aggressively look into and see what we can do for our citizenry in the foreseeable future. I don't know if anybody wants to have a discussion about this. Again, like I said, I don't have all the answers. I'm bringing this up simply because this is an issue that's happening, or it's facing our citizenry in every single community, whether it's in my district in Allen Township or the borough of Northampton, Bethlehem Township, certainly up in the Slate Belt, Mr. Goffredo, where you are from, the Bangor area, Rosetto, East Bangor, Lehigh Township, throughout the county. We're having housing issues. So I didn't know if anybody wanted to have a discussion about this very briefly here. I'm not proposing anything, but Mr. Goffredo.
I'll chime in. I think it was the last Economic Development Committee meeting when the Easton Housing Authority was in here giving a presentation about a project that they were starting. And I was a little slow with the math, but we were talking, I asked what the project was going to cost, and I think I figured it was somewhere around $780,000 a unit is what that was going to cost. And I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to increase the inventory, get more housing available, but when the government gets involved, we have certain laws we have to follow, whether it's, making sure we use prevailing wage labor, and everything has to get through a certain procurement process that typically makes those projects much, much more expensive. And now we're doing, I think it was 42 or 48 single-bedroom units, average around $800,000 a unit. It's like, I don't know who that's affordable for. So I get it. Everybody's doing everything they can. But I also see the market's trending, and it's like, boy, if you look at 2006, we're following some of the same trends. It's like, I think we're in a housing bubble, and I think those prices have nowhere to go but down eventually. And I think a lot of people have mortgages that, unfortunately, they're not going to be able to afford. Interest rates keep going up, pricing keep going up, and I see people buying houses that they can't afford. It's like there's a lot of issues out there that, I don't know how it's going to go either. I don't know which way, but boy, if we start jumping in and start, building things for $800,000 a unit, I think we're adding to the problem. I think what you were talking about with, renovating existing infrastructure. That's the answer, because there's a lot of older buildings that, we tear them down and then we build these paper houses that, I don't want to say they're junk, but there's a lot of stuff that's getting built just to build things, and it's not getting built the way things were built 200 years ago or 150 years ago that, yeah, okay, let's start looking at areas like you said, East Bangor, Bath.
There's an aging housing stock there.
Yeah, pick the area that's not focused on all the time, and there are buildings there that can be better utilized. Homeowners that can be incentivized to, improve their living conditions, or landlords that can be incentivized to improve the conditions for their tenants. We talk about, capping rents. I have a real principally hard time doing that, because I don't think government should dictate what fair market values are. And I'm not a landlord. I don't own any properties, but I know people that are, and they have their complaints too. It's not, they have people that don't pay them and they can't do anything about it. So it's like they have to hedge the fact that they are landlords in a market that, I love to say that we look out for the tenants all the time. We don't. They get taken advantage of as well, but so do the landlords. So yes, there is no silver bullet. I think we should talk about it. And I'm always welcoming, if Tina, if you guys have solutions or suggestions, yeah, I think it definitely needs to be talked about. I just think we need to be, we always need to be careful about how government ends up affecting the market, and how we can, we can put our thumbs on the scale sometimes, and it could have counter consequences that we weren't anticipating at the same time.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of uncertainty about what it means to accommodate a housing stock that is needed here in the county, but what it means in terms of even altering zoning regulations at some point down the road. And then you're getting into local government control, and there are a lot of local governments. I served on a couple where they don't want to give up certain controls. However, if they did, or if certain zoning changes were to be made, it could accommodate more housing, and quite frankly, even more affordable housing. And I'm not talking about Section 8 housing. I'm talking about affordable homes.
Well, you're a homeowner, I'm assuming, Jeff?
Yeah.
And Kelly, I'm sure you are too. Like, as homeowners, we like seeing home values go up, because that means our values of our homes are worth more.
Very true.
And everybody wants to live in a neighborhood that has good home values, because that means you're getting, that's a good sign. If Northampton County had plummeting house values, we'd be panicking just the same.
Yeah.
So it's take the good with the bad. I agree 100%. I think nationwide we have housing issues. How we deal with it is what makes us either a good government body or a bad government body. I think that's kind of what we're discussing right now. Like, what kind of solutions can we come up with creatively to help with that problem?
And I'm saying that where I would like for this committee to go in the future, and again, I have no specific plan of action, but I'd love to hear any ideas that the committee has as we're moving forward here, because it's an issue I'm going to be bringing up as the chair in the very foreseeable future in the months to come. So
Good.
appreciate you all indulging me. Anybody have anything else before we adjourn? All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.